Welcome to the project template configuration demo. In this demo, we will learn how to configure a basic project template. To learn how to create a project template, we have previous videos that can walk you through it. daitaGRC lets you customize project templates to fit your organization's needs. These templates define how project activities are tracked over time, ensuring consistency across teams, reducing manual effort, and providing real-time visibility into project progress. Let's walk through configuring a project template to see how the setup works in practice. For this demo, we'll be using a basic controls assessment project, but the overall steps will look very similar across other template types. To navigate to project templates, start by clicking on Projects on the left-hand side of your screen. This opens the drop-down menu to access the Projects and Project Templates modules. Click on Project Templates on the drop-down menu to open the module. The Project Templates module shows a table of all project templates with counts of open and closed projects they're used in, and a button at the top right to create a new project template. To edit an existing template, locate it in the table and click the three dots at the end of the row. Click Edit to open up the project template. This brings you into the project template configuration screen. On the left-hand side, you'll notice three main sections: planning, testing, and review and approval. Select planning to tailor the planning phase of your template. Choose planning sections to configure which planning sections will appear in this drop-down of subsections. Here, you can see the different planning subsections available. While several can be toggled on or off, a few are mandatory and always displayed. As you can see, they reflect the subsections on the navigation menu to the left. Let's demonstrate this functionality by toggling Inherent Risk Assessment off. Click Save Changes to lock in your updated planning section selections. Notice Inherent Risk Assessment is now hidden on the navigation menu on the left. Let's turn it back on and continue. Click Save Changes. Now that Inherent Risk Assessment is back on the navigation menu, click Project Details. This is a read-only view showing the essential project attributes and their associated data types. Click Project Team Access. This tab allows you to set which users have access to the project. Within a group, you can name it, add members, and assign permissions for specific areas of the project. Let's click Add Group to create one now. Type your group name to get started building your team. Click Add to include new members in your project group. Select users from the drop-down to quickly assign team members. Pick individuals from the list to populate your new group. Feel free to add as many members to your team as needed. There is no limit. Confirm member selection by clicking Add to update your group. Now that your group is named and has the right people, you can grant group-specific permissions for customized access and security. Let's briefly go over what these permissions are. The planning permissions determine if users can view or update planning sections within a project. The objective testing permissions determine if users can view or update testing objective information within the work paper. The work paper testing permissions define the level of control users have over the testing process, including managing, assigning, deleting, and performing tests. Work paper testing defines the permissions users in the group have over managing sample sets, the items selected for testing, whether they can view work papers, change whether work papers are required to be tested. If a work paper isn't applicable for testing, then it cannot be opened. Assign testers to specific work papers for them to complete. Perform testing. Complete work paper tests, even if the work paper isn't assigned to the user. This permission would be appropriate for engagement management to approve testing without tester input. Deleting work papers no longer needed. Findings. Define whether users can view, update the findings page. Issues identified during testing. Project closing. Control whether users can upload final attachments and close the project with comments. Project settings. Control whether users can view or adjust project configurations, including work papers and status tracking. Let's check a couple of permissions as an example. Click Create to finalize your project group setup. Click Scope, Controls, Framework Requirements, and Objectives. The Scope section lets you define and track key attributes related to your scope, making it easier to align testing and reporting with the right entities, locations, and processes. For example, if you're conducting a risk assessment across multiple offices, you can use the Scope section to specify which entity and location the assessment applies to. This section adjusts based on the project type, reflecting the testing level selected. Since this is a control assessment, the fields are all control-specific. Here you can define the testing period as used to filter control selection, as well as manually add or remove processes and controls. We'll go over this section in depth in a later video. Click Inherent Risk Assessment. This tab provides configuration options to identify and document risks relevant to the assessment. You can record both the risk statement and its severity, with space for supporting attachments. Toggle it on when risk analysis is part of your process, or off for simpler projects. Let's refine your approach steps by clicking Plan and Approach. In this tab, you can toggle the Plan section and/or Approach section on or off entirely. In the Plan section, you can add a project phase by clicking the plus icon next to project phases and edit the phase name to match your needs. Phases provide a clear roadmap for the project and allow teams to focus on one stage at a time while maintaining visibility into the overall project timeline. Let's create a phase now. Once clicked, a phase will appear like the example to the right. You can add as many phases as you want. You can rename or delete phases here as well. To reorder the phases you create, drag and drop them by clicking on the drag handle, the 6 dots on the left side of the phase bar, and dragging it to the desired location. In the Approach section, you can add fields to hold any project approach information you want to store. Creating fields allow you to capture all relevant details about how the project will be executed, ensuring nothing important is overlooked and giving your team a clear reference for consistent project delivery. Click Create Field. Enter your name and description for the new field. Pick a field type from the drop-down for optimal data input. Let's briefly go over the 13 field type options. These options are consistent across daitaGRC for many different areas. Scroll down to view all options. Single-line text. A field for short text entries like a name or ID. Select one. Lets users choose a single option from a predefined list, like a status or category. Date. Selecting a specific date, like completion or due dates. Checkbox. A simple true-false or yes-no option, like marking a task complete. Numerical input. Entering numbers like scores or percentages. Select many. Selecting multiple options from a list such as tags or applicable controls. Multi-line text. A field for longer text entries such as descriptions or test results. Date range. The start-end dates of a period, helpful for reviewing testing timeframes. Table with files. A placeholder for a table. The dimensions in columns and rows to be defined for each project using this template, allowing data entries with file attachments, ideal for tracking a set of related items. File upload, to attach files, such as supporting documents or evidence. Rich text. Editor, a field that supports formatted text, like notes with bold lists or links. Tick mark. Legend, a visual symbol guide, helpful for quickly interpreting statuses or approvals. Single table with files, a table that will be defined here, immediately after creation, including the data types and column widths, with a column allowing file attachments, ideal when you already know what data attributes you will need to test. Let's choose single-line text for this example. Click Create to add your new custom field to the workflow. Here we can see our project phase we created and our custom field at the bottom. Click Communication and Coordination to customize collaboration details. This tab defines which user groups will be notified of various events throughout the project and can be toggled to your preference. let's go over what the differences are between distribution list members and participants. Distribution members have a vested interest in the project's success, such as VPs or business unit heads, but are not involved in day-to-day work and won't perform tasks. Participants, on the other hand, are actively involved in executing the project, performing assigned work, and contributing directly to its completion. You will add users to each of these groups in the configuration of each individual project based on this template. Click Deliverables. This tab lets users define the deliverables that must be completed by the end of planning. Deliverables can take different forms, such as an audit report, PowerPoint presentation, or other client-required formats, helping clarify what needs to be produced. Click the plus icon to add a deliverable and enter its name and description. After filling out all fields, you can manage it as needed. You can create, reorder, edit, or delete deliverables freely. Make sure to save your changes before exiting. That's the end of the planning section. Click Testing to expand the testing section and reveal its subsections. This read-only tab simply shows what project settings were chosen on project template creation for the user to view. Click Work Paper to reveal the subsections within. Each project will have different sections for its work paper section depending on the type of project template, so we will dive deeper into this in another video. Click Sample Set Configuration. A sample set is a collection of fields that can be reused across work papers within the same project. This tab lets you define what information to capture for each sample set, making it easy to track and document samples throughout the project. For example, in a payroll audit, you could define fields to record which users were tested, the sampling method used, and other relevant details, ensuring all information is consistently captured. Let's practice creating a custom field. Click Create Field. Enter a field name and a description of the field. After naming and describing your custom field, select the most relevant data type so your field works exactly how you envision. You can refer back to our description of field types from earlier in this walkthrough. For this example, pick checkbox to enable simple yes/no choices for users. Click Create to add your custom field to the project template. This field will appear here in any project made from this template. Here you can see the new custom field. Now click Project Status Tracking. Below, you can see the existing default status labels, which you can edit or delete. You can also add new ones to fit your project's needs. Project statuses are a great way to track progress and monitor completion on your dashboard, helping keep the team aligned. Let's practice adding a new status now. Enter a descriptive project status. For this example, we'll use blocked. Click in this box to select the color to reflect this status. Let's choose red to display the urgency associated with a project blocker status. Click Create, and we will be able to see the status pop up at the bottom. Finally, click Review and Approval. This tab lets you configure approvals for the main project processes: planning, testing, and project closing, with each section offering its own configurable approvals. When an approval box is checked, you'll be prompted to select both an approval group and a rollback group. Let's take a closer look at how approvals are applied within each of these sections. In the planning section, you can choose to have approvals for each planning subsection or a standard overall approval. In the testing section, you can choose to have approvals for work papers or even sections within work papers. You can also have approvals for objective testing and overall testing approval. In the project closing section, you can choose what group is allowed to permanently close the project. Click Individual Planning Section Approval to see the fields for approval groups. For each section throughout this entire tab, you can enter individual approver and rollback groups. Thank you for working through this demonstration of how to configure project templates. There are 2 separate demo videos for how to configure project templates scope and work paper sections as well. Have a great day.